This is a message for the people in both the Republic and Northern Ireland. And this is coming from a person who grew up in England, so you will have to bear with a bit here. Now, my mother was Catholic, my dad's a Prot, and they used to sit there in bed at night watching the news, watching Ireland tear itself apart, and they were baffled by it. Now, they probably didn't have a deep sense of the history of the North and also what happened on in the South, but I'm not going to go into that particularly on this. All I'm going to say is that there was a massive divide between Catholics and Protestants, not all, but a lot, and the Troubles went on for years, and the people that suffered from it was the average people. All right, there were people obviously that got lifted off the streets who were innocent and put in internment into the camps, and obviously there were people that were part of the Troubles who did long prison sentences. Okay, what I always saw after the Troubles is that at some point there will be something that will unite these people, and it certainly won't be the British government. All right, that was quite obvious, and it won't be the European Union. Now, at the moment, there does seem to be some troubles in Ireland. They're far more advanced than we are, because they're far more advanced on the amount of people from, as they call it, new to the reservation that have joined their country, and they weren't asked, incidentally. Now, it's not so bad at the moment in the north, but it's getting there, and in the south it's a lot worse, because that was the will of the European Union. This is why, in some ways, us Brits have been lucky that we ducked out of the European Union. Otherwise, England would be equally as full as Ireland is now. Now, I predicted that the population would increase by 1 million within 7 years. Well, it's 10 years, sorry. Well, it did that within the 7 years and then some. So, you know, there you go. But what I also predicted is that the flood of Islam wouldn't differentiate between Catholic or Protestant, and soon enough the people would catch on about that, and they would realise that, like I suppose ancient history, when clans used to fight each other, and then when a bigger enemy came along they would join forces. A bit like the football boys, actually, if you look at it that way. I mean, I know it's a bit rudimentary, but you know, where they're knocking lumps out of each other on the terraces over here, they seem to form up over there, and now, rather than knocking lumps out of each other, they've all formed up to go and protest on the streets about what's happening to our kids, what's happening to our country, etc, etc. Now, I have to go and make this very, very clear. Nobody wants a return to the old Troubles, and nobody wants a new Troubles part 2, but this is what I see happening. And this is also, just to make this clear to any person who's dumb fuck enough to get the wrong message from this, I'll spell it out. I do not like violence, and I'm not encouraging anybody to be violent. Okay? That's not what I'm saying in this, so I have to make that clear for especially the dumb fucks on the left who still support the mass migration and the destruction of our country and Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Republic of Ireland, rest of Europe, or world. I don't know why. Anyway, what we've seen lately is, especially up in the north, is people holding the tricolour, people holding the Union Jack, or the Union flag, if you want to be like that, okay, and cuddling each other. It's something that actually pleased me, I have to say. Now, I've got friends up the north, okay, and one of them in particular has done a lot of digging through past Troubles, what the British state did, what the Irish state did. Believe you me, they had a lot to do with it. Okay, if you want to look into that, Restore UK would be the one to go and have a gander at. But going back to this video, whether you want it or not, will end up uniting, because the people who have come here and they're not going to be peaceful, you've seen it already. You've seen the rape of men and women, the stabbing of children, and all of this stuff. You have to let the state know, without violence. I have to make this clear, obviously, for legal reasons and for YouTube. You have to make it clear, that's it, enough is enough, and that you ain't going to put up with this, all right? But that does not mean going and burning places down, looting, setting fire to police stations, etc, etc. I have to obviously say that for legal reasons, and I actually truly believe that setting fire to a hotel with human beings in it, whether you like them or not, is morally wrong. Just saying. I'm not even going down the legal route, because it's obviously legally wrong, but it's morally wrong. And I don't think the good Lord upstairs would support that. Just saying, whether you're a Catholic or a Protestant, all right? However, you will come together. And what this new, and I'm going to call it, because I'm going to call this the Troubles Part 2, all right? You had the Troubles over there, Part 1, and I can see the Troubles Part 2 coming, whether we want it or not, and we don't want it, all right? And it'll be the same over here. We've already seen it in Birmingham now. There's no-go areas where Islam comes out en masse and shows, and they actually say this, they're showing their strength. And for people who are allegedly, if you listen to the left, all they want is to be left alone, all they want is to integrate, all they want is a chance in life because they've come from persecution, or they're all victims of this or victims of that. If you were to believe that, then you would see these pictures going out on our national TV, not just, you know, YouTubers and people doing it, of these people actively doing the opposite. Now, if you listen to Jess Phillips or other people like that, there's always a reason for it. It's always our fault, not theirs. But the truth is this, right? This was, in most parts, especially mainland England, was quite a chilled out place. Yeah, we've had a bit of troubles during things like the miners' strike and the poll tax riots and stuff like that. And then when BLM decided to pop his face up, yes, we've had that. But generally speaking, most of the time it ticks over quite nicely. All right, that was until the last sort of 10, 15 years. And now we've seen a rise in religious sectarian attacks. Because that's what we've got to call it. That's what they called it back in the Troubles when it was over in Ireland. It was sectarian. It was one religious group having a pop at another religious group. If that's crude enough, basically. And what we're seeing now is the religion of peace deciding that it wants to do things which are not nice. And I've really got to watch what I say here, but you have to read between the lines on this. They're doing things that their book tells them to. Because we are not the same. In their book, we're the infidel. Now, if you were to go have a look through the Quran and read through it, you will see numerous verses that make it quite clear of what they're supposed to do with us, how they're supposed to treat us. All right? Now, I didn't write that book, and I certainly don't agree with that book. And we had our versions back in the day, the Old Testament, but I think we had a little bit of a rethink, didn't we? But anyway, that's just me. But going back to it, there are going to be people who are going to try to stop people who are trying to unite from Catholic and Protestant from doing it. But just remember this. These were the same people that back in the day were telling you secretly, normally, or openly in other ways, right? Catholic and Protestant, they were telling you to get into the other side, to give it to them, lads, all right? These are the same politicians that are now living rather fat, who have been bought out, who now have themselves rather cushy jobs, and are fully on board with flooding your country with third world Islam, which you know as well as I do, doesn't matter how tolerant you are, that doesn't matter, that's a weakness. And this won't end well. And nobody wants this, all right? Nobody likes to see generally innocent human beings who have been through a tough time suffer. Because that's not in our nature, we like to help. And that was the weakness, the Trojan horse that they used to flood our country with Islam, all right? These same people, be it Christian, or what shall I say, Catholic or Protestant, have literally sold their own people out on both sides, all right? Make no bones about it. That's one of the if you can't find anything else in common apart from the color of your skin, right? The one thing you can both agree on is whether it was the Irish state, whether it was the British state, whether it was Sinn Féin, or whether it was the whatever the other the Protestant sides are, you know, all of them, every fucking one of them shit on you and sold you out, right? Why? Well, that's probably for another video. But either way, they have, and that's it. So, my advice would be, even if for the long run you don't want to be friends, network with each other, and get on with each other and become good neighbours with each other. Because there may come a time that you might need your neighbours from the next block over, you know what I mean? Northern Ireland was so Shankill and whatever it was, right? You might need your neighbours next door to help you out. Just saying, nobody wants trouble. I've got to make this clear. Nobody fucking wants it, all right? And if people were completely honest, they'd rather none of this had happened and they were left alone. But I can see you're going to make friends with each other, and I can see that it is for the betterment of North and South, all right? But there it is. Isn't it amazing how the European Union and Britain have managed to achieve something that they could never achieve for 30, 40 fucking years? And they've done it by doing something terrible to the entirety of Ireland, North and South. It's amazing how people will unite. People that are complete strangers sometimes, or people that didn't get on with each other, will unite under tough times. And that's what I'm seeing over in Ireland. So don't listen to the people that fucking sold you out, telling you shouldn't have anything to do with them, or, you know, why are you holding hands with them? They used to be against you. Yes, they did. But time moves forward, and apparently you have yourself a new problem on your hands that you're going to have to work out how you're going to face it. All right, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, have a good day. I gotta go work my ass off.